Welcome to my channel, USA Battle Zone. Today's story is not just about war. It's about respect. It's about sacrifice. It's about a woman who stood against everything and everyone to prove that courage doesn't wear a name tag. So strap in, pilots. Because this is the story of the day the Admiral threw her off base, then stopped cold when her F-22 call sign made every SEAL salute. Soft background music fades in, slow piano and strings. Her name was Captain Alexandra Cole. To the men on the base, she was just another pilot. But to the few who really knew her, she was lightning in the sky. She grew up on the edge of an Air Force base in Nevada. Her father, Major Thomas Cole, flew F-15s during the Gulf War. He used to take her outside at night to watch the jets slice through the stars. He'd tell her, "Up there, Lexi, it's just you and the truth. The sky doesn't care who you are, only what you can do." Those words burned into her heart like jet fuel. When he died in a training accident, she was only 16. Most people expected her to break. But instead, she decided to fly, not to escape him, but to honor him. Cut to footage of flight training. Jets taking off, young pilots in helmets, roaring engines. Years later, she was one of the youngest pilots ever to qualify for the F-22 Raptor, the most advanced stealth fighter on Earth. But even in 2025, not everyone believed a woman belonged in that cockpit. Her first day on Admiral Pierce's base was rough. The man was old-school Navy, all steel and salt, a face carved by command. He'd seen too many soldiers die and too many orders questioned. When she stepped into his office with her orders, he didn't even look up. "Greater than Admiral Pierce. You're in the wrong place, Captain. This isn't a flight simulator." "Captain Cole." "No sir. This is my assignment. F-22 Squadron, 19th Tactical." "Admiral Pierce." Finally looking up, his voice cold. "Who approved this?" She stood tall, eyes locked. "The Pentagon, sir." He didn't salute. He didn't smile. He just pointed to the door. "Greater than Pierce. Get off my base until I confirm that." Sound of a jet's turbine spinning up, tension rising. The next morning, she returned. Orders confirmed. Her locker, empty. Her call sign, not yet chosen. No one said a word. In the mess hall, the SEAL teams laughed across the room. One of them, a tall guy named Chief Donovan, raised his coffee and said, "Greater than, hey, Barbie pilot, don't scratch the paint on those Raptors." She smiled, just once, and said nothing. But what they didn't know was that she had already logged more combat hours than half of them combined. She'd flown in Syria, escorted reconnaissance missions over hostile zones, and brought her wingman home after an engine fire, by flying underneath his jet and guiding him to base through the smoke. Music builds, heartbeat sound, aerial footage transitions to simulation footage. 2 weeks later, the base got the call, an emergency exercise. Simulated enemy aircraft had breached the perimeter. Every F-22 pilot was scrambled, including her. As she climbed into her jet, she touched the small patch on her shoulder, her father's old insignia. The engines roared alive. "Greater than, tower, this is Ghost Lead. Ready for takeoff." The tower paused. "Ghost Lead, greater than, yes sir. That's my call sign." Ghost Lead, the name she'd earned after disappearing from radar during a combat rescue mission, reappearing behind the enemy line, and taking out 3 bogies before anyone knew where she was. But Admiral Pierce didn't know that. Not yet. Cut to cockpit view. Radio chatter, wind noise, sirens. The simulation turned real fast. The radar lit up. 5 unidentified aircraft moving in formation. "Greater than Pilot 1. This can't be part of the drill." "Control. Negative. This is real." "Repeat. Real targets inbound." Every fighter on the runway scrambled. But 2 Raptors malfunctioned on takeoff, leaving only 3 in the air. And one of them was hers. High-intensity score kicks in, percussion and strings. She locked in, voice steady, heartbeat low. "Greater than, Ghost Lead, engaging hostiles." Pierce was watching from the command tower, jaw tight. The bogies weren't supposed to be there, and definitely not that close to US territory. On the radar, her Raptor danced like lightning. She pulled 9 gigaseconds through a vertical climb, reversed, and dropped behind the lead intruder. Missile lock. Greater than, Fox 3. 1 down. The second turned hard east. She followed. Pierce leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Greater than, who's flying ghost lead? Captain Cole, sir. He froze. Scene slows. Dramatic music fades to silence except for heartbeat. Minutes later, it was over. 5 enemy aircraft neutralized. Not a single American lost. As she landed, every SEAL, every Marine, every pilot, lined up along the runway. No one ordered them to. They just knew. When she climbed down from the cockpit, helmet tucked under her arm, the wind catching her flight suit, Admiral Pierce was waiting. He didn't say a word. Just saluted. And every SEAL followed. Soft emotional music returns. Narration slower, voice cracking slightly. That day, the base learned something. Courage doesn't come with rank. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned. And leadership isn't about being loud. It's about showing up when no one expects you to. Later that night, Admiral Pierce called her into his office. He stood by the window, staring at the tarmac. Greater than Pierce. You disobeyed direct radio silence out there. Cole. Yes, sir. Pierce. You also saved 6 lives. He turned. The weight in his eyes was different now, softer, older. Pierce. Your father would have been proud. She froze. You knew my father. Greater than, flew with him. Gulf War. He pulled me out of a burning cockpit once. She swallowed hard. He never told me. Greater than, he wouldn't. He wasn't the type. Guess his daughter takes after him. Cut to flashback montage. Her father teaching her to fly, her in simulators, her first solo flight, her battle today. From that day forward, she wasn't Barbie pilot. She was Ghost Lead, the woman who flew with fire in her soul and ice in her veins. Whenever her jet took off, the SEALs would line up and salute, a tradition that started that very day. Not because they were told to, but because she'd earned it. Scene: the ocean at sunset, her standing at the edge of the runway, wind blowing across her face. She once said in an interview later, greater than, people think the hardest part of flying is the speed. But it's not. The hardest part is trusting yourself when the world tells you not to. Her words went viral. Millions watched, inspired. Cadets wrote letters. Pilots painted her call sign on their helmets. And when Admiral Pierce finally retired, he handed her his own wings. Greater than, for what it's worth, Ghost Lead, he said. You changed the way this base will see courage forever. Music swells. Patriotic strings, emotional crescendo. Years later, she was promoted to Colonel Alexandra Cole, the first woman to lead a joint air and naval combat wing. And every time she walked into a hangar, you could hear it, the faint click of boots, the silent salute that rippled across the floor. Not because she demanded it, because she deserved it. Scene fades to the American flag waving at sunrise. Soft instrumental version of America the Beautiful plays. Studio microphone narrator, soft, emotional. She wasn't born a hero. She became one. Through loss, through fire, through the quiet moments when no one believed. And maybe, that's what true honor looks like. Not medals, not fame, but the echo of a salute, earned through the sky. Fade out. Text on screen. Dedicated to every pilot who flies with heart. Studio microphone narrator, final line. If this story moved you, if you believe in courage, respect, and the unbreakable spirit of our heroes, then hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to USA Battle Zone for more true and untold stories of American bravery. Because heroes are not born. They rise from the fire.